China contains one-fifth of the world's population and is the world's fastest-growing economy. In the modern era, China's influence in the world economy was minimal until the late 1980s. At that time, economic reforms initiated after 1978 began to generate significant and steady growth in investment, consumption, and standards of living. China now participates extensively in the world market, and mostly state-owned but also some private sector companies play a major role in the economy. Since 1978, hundreds of millions have been lifted out of poverty, yet hundreds of millions of rural population as well as millions of migrant workers remain unattended. In the 1949 revolution, China's economic system was officially made into a communist system. But today, after the reforms of the 1980s, many scholars assert that China can be defined as one of the leading examples of state capitalism. China has generally implemented reforms in a gradualist fashion. As its role in world trade has steadily grown, its importance to the international economy has also increased quickly. China's foreign trade has grown faster than its GDP for the past 25 years, and small businesses have boomed, with approximately 10 million as of 2010. China has emphasized raising personal income and consumption and introducing new management systems to help increase productivity. The two most important sectors of the economy have traditionally been agriculture and industry, which differ in many respects. Technology, labor productivity, and incomes have advanced much more rapidly in industry than in agriculture. Agricultural output has been vulnerable to the effects of weather, while industry has been more directly influenced by the government. The disparities between the two sectors have combined to form an economic, cultural, social gap between the rural and urban areas. China has acquired highly sophisticated foreign production facilities and through localization policies also built a number of advanced engineering plants capable of manufacturing an increasing range of sophisticated equipment, including nuclear weapons and satellites. But most of its industrial output still comes from relatively ill-equipped factories. The technological level and quality standards of its industry as a whole are still disastrous, notwithstanding a marked change since 2000, spurred in part by foreign investment. After Mao's death in 1976 and the arrest of the Gang of Four, blamed for the excesses of the Cultural Revolution, Deng Xiaoping quickly wrested power from Mao's anointed successor, Hua Guofeng. His influence within the party led the country to significant economic reforms. The Communist Party subsequently loosened governmental control over citizens' personal lives, and the communes were disbanded, which greatly increased incentives and agricultural production. This turn of events marked China's transition from a planned economy to a mixed economy, with an increasingly open market environment. In 1989, the death of pro-reform official Hu Yaobang helped to spark the Tiananmen Square protests, during which students and others campaigned for several months, speaking out against corruption and in favor of greater political reform, including democratic rights and freedom of speech. However, they were eventually put down on the 4th of June, when PLA troops and vehicles entered and forcibly cleared the square. This event brought worldwide condemnation and sanctions against the government. The Tank Man incident in particular became famous. China formally joined the World Trade Organization in 2001. The 2008 Summer Olympics took place in Beijing, China, from August 8th to August 24th, 2008. China became the 22nd nation to host the Olympic Games and the 18th to hold a Summer Olympic Games. Water pollution. According to the World Watch Institute, a lot of Chinese water is not safe to drink. Due to pollution from industrialization, chemical pollution, and increased algae blooms are present in several lakes and streams. Put simply, not only can the humans not drink, but the fish can't breathe. Exacerbated dust storms. China is experiencing an increase in dust storms, which can spread as far as North America from China. Lester R. Brown of the Earth Policy Institute cites overplowing and overgrazing as contributing causes of the desertification process. As if giant clouds of sharp sand grains aren't enough, when these storms pick up airborne toxins from factories, they become more lethal. This injures many Chinese and plants. Dust storms can damage crops with the airborne toxins, which makes it tough for the few farmers China has. Coastlines swamped by red tides. Untreated sewage is being dumped into nearby water bodies, causing a surplus of red phytoplankton. Red tides are more common in China, which kills marine life and doesn't particularly benefit surrounding coastal communities either. Toxins from this algal growth make seafood unsafe to eat. That's right, bad sushi. Heavy industry plants do not operate efficiently or control pollution as adequately as factories in other parts of the world. On average, Chinese steelmakers use 1/5 more energy per ton than the estimated international average. Studies show that 350,000 to 400,000 premature deaths are a direct result of outdoor air pollution. Simple solution, don't breathe. Just kidding, that might cause more premature deaths. China's emissions growth is 2 to 4 times greater than expected. The International Energy Agency predicted that China's carbon emissions would not reach those of the United States until 2020. The agency now states that China overtook the US in emissions growth in 2007. China is the world's second largest consumer of oil after the US and uses more coal than the US, the European Union, and Japan. The Communist Party enacts strict control over most aspects of the Chinese people's lives. However, it has made improvements in some areas, particularly for women. Lineage and family ties are tremendously important to the Chinese. A major goal for Chinese couples is having a son to carry on the family name and look after them in old age. Previously, being married was seemingly a necessity. Women are now not as concerned about finding a husband. More and more women are focused on their careers and do not plan on having kids because of their ambitions in the work industry. Traditional Chinese beliefs have always placed men ahead of women in the social hierarchy, and the issue has been exacerbated since the communist government initiated the one-child policy. The result is an ugly history of female infanticide and abandonment, which hasn't yet been eliminated. China performs more cosmetic surgery than any country except America and Brazil. China's growing wealth and its obsession with celebrity culture is fueling the increase. People in search of a job submit a photograph with their application, and most patients are in their 20s. The 3 most common procedures are double eyelid surgery, liposuction, and nose jobs, often resulting in the more westernized appearance of patients. The expected Chinese appearance is transforming from this to this. Under the social market economy system, government workers and businessmen prosper at the expense of rural agricultural laborers. For this emerging economy, people convey status symbols such as luxury cars and designer clothing to demonstrate their success, particularly in urban areas. In rural areas, such as those populated by the minority of Uyghurs and Tibetans, traditional tribal social customs still reign, with people dressing much as they have for millenniums. Education is mandatory and prized, both by the cultural and by the state. The communists, within 50 years, raised the literacy rate from 15% to over 75%.